Hey guys, this is the final video about my Stormburst build. It's only level 85, but I wanted to have enough time to do one more build before the end of the Incursion League. The build was really pleasant to play, and it was meant for clear speed rather than boss killing. I did try to improve single target setup, which is by the way lighting spire trap, but in the end it's not really that great. I mean, you can totally do up to tier 15 maps. It's just relying on lighting spire trap for single target is pretty awkward, because if enemies just move a lot, then you kind of lose most of the damage. And because this is Deadeye with a lot of projectile speed, it kind of lowers my single target potential, because when these projectiles travel fast, you can't really overlap all those hits and all those explosions on one target very well. And yes, in most cases I do use lower projectile against single target. So if you're looking for fast and fun channeling build, then you should definitely try this. Now I sound like I'm selling something. By the way, if you want to add extra entertainment to this video, enable subtitles on YouTube and see how YouTube tries to decipher what I'm saying. This build is not really expensive. I do use couple expensive items, but I'm not really sure if this is really needed. For example, I think I paid 4 exiles for Chore of the Storm amulet, which basically gives a lot of lightning damage and crit chance. But instead of that, you could probably get some amulet with more life resistances and crit multiplier, maybe even spell damage, and you would have very similar results. I guess I'm talking about items now. So basically all the other items are just rares. I am using 2 daggers from the temple, from the Incursion, but I checked numbers in Pathway building and it seems that you could just use Duskdawn staff and you would have more damage, but you would not be able to use Willing Blade. Basically any spellcaster weapons that give spell damage, spell crit chance, global crit chance, crit multiplier, or flat damage to spells. For single target lightning spire trap setup, I am using pseudo 6-link helmet with trap and mine damage and hypothermia. But like I said, if you're not gonna be fighting endgame bosses, you don't even need this. You can just use any other helmet and not even use lightning spire trap. You could instead just use Val Righteous Fire with increased duration just for the bosses for a couple of seconds buff. As for body armor, again from the temple, just a lot of life and couple of resistances. 6-link by the way. You could do it just on a 5-link. As a 6th link for my clear speed, I am using Culling Strike, so it doesn't give that much damage. But you would not be able to swap for slower projectiles for single target, which is not big of a deal. It would just take a couple seconds more to kill boss. Then for one of my ring, I am using Call of the Brotherhood to convert 40% of lightning damage into cold, which allows you to freeze enemies easily while map clearing. And the other ring is just with a lot of life and life gain on hit by your spells, which is not mandatory, especially if you have some elemental or lightning damage leech as life, so you could instead use some ring with just damage. And instead Chore of the Storm amulet, just use some rare amulet, maybe with lightning damage leech or cold damage leech as life, along with other good stats. Gloves, nothing too special, just flat fire damage added against burning enemies, but really any other gloves could work. Just a lot of life and resistances. Shaped gloves with global cast speed and global blind chance would be pretty nice. Belt, just Stygian belt with life and resistances. Boots from the temple with a lot of movement speed, a lot of life, some resistances and spell dodge. And without any flask, I currently do have 40% attack dodge and 42 spell dodge. And plus 10 with quartz flask. Then of course diamond flask for more crit. And I'm also using sulfur flask instead of wise oak. And that is because I could not balance to have equally cold and lightning resistance. And if I can't do that, then I can't really benefit from it, because I am splitting my damage between cold and lightning. And in the end, if you can't do that, it's better to just use sulfur flask, because it just gives more damage. And if you are brave enough, you can use Aziri's Promise flask instead of a second life flask. I did use it at the start, but I just felt more comfortable running 2 life flasks. Now about the skills and links. So my 6-link setup is inside body armor, Stormburst linked with casual channeling, ball lighting, control destruction, GMP, and Culling Strike, which I swap for slower projectiles against single target. In the helmet for my single target setup, I am using Lightning Spire Trap linked with either lightning damage, concentrated effect, and control destruction. You may want to experiment and maybe swap concentrated effect for hypothermia. Next in my gloves I have Orb of Storm linked with Curse on hit, elemental weakness, and power charge on critical strike. If you had shaped gloves with global blind chance or global cast speed, that would be even better. Then in my boots I have Willing Blade linked with faster attacks and fortify. But if you are using a staff, you may want to use Lightning Warp, linked with faster casting, less duration, and maybe even Swift Affliction as well. Of course, you will not be able to get Fortify like that. As for the auras, I am using Wrath Aura, also have Herald of Ice linked with Onslaught. This is mainly for the clear speed. I am getting Onslaught all the time, which buffs basically all the speed, which improves clear speed even more. And for the last small damage buff, I am using Flame Dash linked with increased duration and Arcane Surge. Increased duration is just to increase the mana cost to be able to trigger a higher level Arcane Surge, which by the way in my case is level 8, and also increase Arcane Surge buff duration. And I guess one thing that I don't like about this build is that you need to click so many things to get all the buffs. First, you need to maintain your power charges by using Orb of Storm, then keep traveling with Whirling Blades and also triggering Fortify, and then keep triggering Flame Dash to get the Arcane Surge buff, and then using all the flasks. Now for the passive skill tree. I picked Deadeye because I wanted a lot of projectile speed, and while Fire Shot does not affect spell projectiles, but it does give 30% projectile speed, and then another 20% projectile speed from Ballistic Mastery, and then Endless Munitions, which gives a lot of increased AoE and extra projectile. Then from Merciless Lab I took Gathering Winds to get Tailwinds, which increases all action speed, which basically increases your all movement and casting speed, but not projectile speed, but it also affects trap throwing speed. And then from the Uber Lab I took Power Precision. Since both Stormburst and Lightning are projectiles which always pierce, I always get this 100% increased critical strike chance, which by the way, just like Tailwind buff, is not shown in the tooltip in game. And in case you're wondering, Ricochet actually does give a bit more damage, but you do lose a lot of critical strike chance. Then as for the rest of the passive skill tree, I took Phase Acrobatics, and then just Life Critical Strike Chance, and couple Jewel Sockets. Oh, one more thing, I am using Watcher's Eye, which gives Mana Leech while affected by Wrath. This one is kind of almost mandatory because you will have some mana issues without it, unless you're only using 5 Link, and maybe even using Wallows Mark, or maybe you have some Elrond Jewels with reduced mana cost of skills. As always, in video description you will find path of building import code and other useful information like what is my Twitter handle, or a link to find my streams, or the meaning of life. Not really. Anyway, I still want to do one more build, which is gonna be something with heralds, because the game decided to give me good luck to accidentally, on purpose, 6 link the Coming Calamity body armor. By the way, Ice Block Ritual still works. Anyway, thank you for watching and see you soon.